They used the overhead and took the marker and outline each picture and then colored them all themselves. They have costumes that they got themselves, and so I have done nothing but just say, okay, you can do that, you can do that, come on, we'll put it together and have a play. So they've done a great job, they're wonderful children. They've practiced all day, but it's been a good thing because we're doing better now. We just have one problem is we're not loud enough, so maybe this will help. So, we have Katina. Come on up. This is Katina Antonis, and she will direct the play. She will tell you who's coming up to talk and who her character is. These are people from history that we've learned about. You'll be able to tell by looking at most of them who they are, by how they're dressed. So, you ready?
Andrew Belleville wrote a report about Francis Scott Key.
We've not practiced with the microphone, so children, when you come up here, you need to get close to the microphone. So try one more time so they can hear you.
Andrew Belleville wrote a report about Francis Scott Key. Andrew, go! Francis Scott Key was a lawyer from Maryland. He was born on August 1st, 1779. He lived with his grandmother in Indianapolis when he was a young boy. During his life, Francis Scott Key had many great achievements. In 1796, he graduated from St. John's College. In 1816, Francis Scott Key founded the American Colonization Society with a group of other men. However, his biggest achievement was in 1814 when he wrote the Star-Spangled Banner, which later became the national anthem of the United States.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous flight o'er the ramparts we watched were so valiantly streaming in the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gay cruise through the night, yet our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave? Are the land of the free in the home of the brave? Next up is Landon Brooks, and he wrote a report about Martin Luther King Jr. Each January, Americans celebrate a holiday called Martin Luther King Jr. Day. This holiday was named for a special American. Some people tried to stop Martin from making his dreams come true. When Martin was growing up, black people did not have the same rights white people had. Pull-up said that black people could not sit with white people on the buses. Black children and white children could not go to the same school. Martin was determined to help the black people. He showed people how to work together without fighting. Martin talks about race or skin color did not matter. Martin gave a famous speech in 1963 called I Have a Dream. He won a Nobel Peace Prize. Martin taught people they could change in a peaceful way. That's why we celebrate Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Next up is Matthew Bryant, and he wrote a report about Squanto. Squanto, friend to the Pilgrims. Squanto came from an Indian nation called the Wampanoag. He hunted, fished, and farmed. Soon the Pilgrims landed and settled in a place most people have lived. They called it Plymouth. Squanto was very helpful to the Pilgrims. He taught them how to plant corn, how to dig a hole with a clam shell, and mouth the dirt. Then he taught them to place a fish into each of the mouths before they planted the corn kernels. Squanto then taught the Pilgrims how to build their homes called wigwams. Life was much better for them because Squanto helped them. They shared a wonderful feast that lasted for 3 days, even the longest feast of Thanksgiving.
Next up is Ethan Chandler, and he wrote a report about George Bush Sr. George Herbert Walker Bush was born on June 12, 1924. His father was a banker and later a United States Senator, teaching him duty and service. He credited mother with giving him the ability to get along with people. He joined the Navy at age 18 and became a pilot. He later married Barbara in 1945 and they lived in Texas. He was an independent oil operator there. Later, throughout his Republican campaign term, he became the 41st President of the United States. Next up is Macy Clough, and she wrote a report about Sacagawea. At a young age, Sacagawea was separated from her family when she was captured by a band of military slaves and then taken as their slaves. Later on, she was bought by a French fur trader to be his wife, and at age 16, she met the explorers Lewis and Clark. She helped guide them through western United States. Her courage helped to make an important contribution to American history. Her main duties were to help translate for the Indian Council and help the white men understand the Indians. Sacagawea, who was married to Chateauneuf, set out on the Missouri River expedition. Experts believe that she died there on December 20, 1812 of a putrid fever. Next up is Starla Greenlee, and she wrote a report about Sandra Day O'Connor. Sandra Day O'Connor. Sandra Day O'Connor was the first woman to serve as a judge in the U.S. Supreme Court. She was born March 26, 1930. She had a dad named Henry, a husband named John, and a brother named Alvin. In 1988, Sandra became ill with breast cancer. In 2005, illness struck Sandra's DNA again. Sandra has won many awards during her career. In 2003, she received the Philadelphia Literary Medal. This is a gavel. A gavel is a small hand used by judges in courtrooms. The gavel is usually made of wood. Next up is Isabella Hartwell. She wrote a report about the Statue of Liberty. Statue of Liberty. The Statue of Liberty is one of the largest statues in the world. It is also one of the most famous statues. It shows a woman wearing a crown and a fleur. She holds a torch high above her head. The torch represents the light of liberty. The statue stands in a small island in New York. The island is called Liberty Island. It is near Manhattan in New York. The Statue of Liberty greets people coming to the United States. It has been a sign of welcome for more than 100 years. France helped the Americans with independence from Great Britain. The war lasted from 1775 to 1783. The people of France shared the Americans' love of freedom. 100 years later, France gave the United States to them. The Statue of Liberty was a garden. France raised money for the statue to show some friendship between the two countries. A French sculptor named Frederick August Bartholdi designed the statue. He went to New York and chose a site for the statue. He
could picture a large statue on the island, so he returned to France and back to work. Workers in France began to build the statue in 1875. The statue was so big that it had to be built in pieces. The hand holding the torch was the first piece to be built. It took hundreds of workers 10 years to finish the statue. The outside of the statue was made of copper and was about as thick as a pole. The statue was finished in 1885 and it had to be shipped to New York. It was too big to ship in one piece, so workers took it apart and packed it into crates. The crates were sent by ship to New York. The statue had to be put back together and restored. Millions of people were moving to the United States from other countries. For many of them, life had been very hard. They came here to find a better life. The statue's hands were attached to the Native American symbol, July 4th, 1776. The statue is known all over the world as a beautiful symbol of peace. The statue is also a symbol of the United States and offers hope to people who are not free.
Next up is Madison Hayes Gowan, and she wrote a report about the Liberty Bell.
The Liberty Bell is a huge bell that symbolizes freedom in the United States. The Liberty Bell is in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. It was run during key important events of early American history and presidential elections. It has a crack 24.5 inches long and shells. In 1867, it became known as the Liberty Bell and people in Philadelphia still live there.
Next up is Juliana Hunt. She wrote a report about Betsy Ross.
Get up close. Up closer.
Where she made WB International Science. In 1773, she opened a sewing shop. There she made quilted furniture and flags. Betsy sewed the first American flag. It was red, white, and blue, and the 13 stitches were constructed. When Betsy was 84 years old, Betsy died. She is a symbol. Next up is Emma Linton, and she wrote a report about Amelia Earhart. Amelia Earhart was the first famous woman pilot. She learned how to fly in the 1920s. There are very few women pilots. When Amelia Earhart was 23 years old, she went to an airplane show. She saw pilots do tricks in the air. After the show, Earhart got to ride an airplane. She liked it so much she decided to take flying lessons and become a pilot. In 1928, Earhart was the first famous woman to fly across the Atlantic Ocean. There she disappeared. Earhart was flying across the world when she lost radio contact with the ground. Maybe her plane ran out of fuel, or she might have crashed into the ocean and has never come back. Next up is Katie Mayhew. She wrote a report about Rosa Parks. My name is Katie Mayhew and I am reading about Rosa Parks. Rosa Parks grew up on her grandparents' farm in Alabama. When she became older, she saw that African Americans were not treated fairly. She did not think African Americans should be treated that. Kept apart by skin color. Later, she and her husband worked to stop this. One day, a bus driver said she must give up her seat to a white person. Rosa Parks did not do it. Humphrey lost her change because she believed in her feelings. Next up is Megan Hatton. She wrote a report about Pocahontas. Pocahontas. Her name is Lynn Playful One. Pocahontas was born in Virginia. She was the daughter of Lady Ada Franklin. As she grew up, she was called by white sailors. They took her to live with them. They taught her how to live as they did. She married a man named John Hall, and they had a son. She wanted to help the people learn about her people. Pocahontas died in England while she was waiting to come back to England. Next up is Abby Post. She wrote a report about Sacagawea. Sacagawea. The word Sacagawea means grandmother. Sacagawea was born in Idaho about 1787. In 1800, she was captured and served as an interpreter for the United States Army Captains Meriwether Lewis and William Clark. She later became the wife of Charleston Chauvelin. He was a French-Canadian fur trader. Sacagawea gave birth to a son named Jean-Baptiste. In August 1805, the Lewis and Clark expedition encountered a band of Cheyenne Indians. Several years later, when the expedition ended, Sacagawea and her husband took their son and went to St. Louis. Here her son attended a formal education. Then she died in 1812. In the year of 2000, the Sacagawea Golden Dollar was granted in honor of her. Next up is Ryan Powers, and he wrote a report about George Washington.
Get closer. Closer, closer. I know I can't hear you if you don't.
My name is Ryan Powers, and I am reading about George Washington. George Washington was America's first president. He was born in 1792. Virginia was a British colony. Young kids didn't passion lived in America. He was too busy living his family down here to die.
In George Washington's honor. All right.
Next up is Elijah Rogers, and he wrote a report about Christopher Columbus. Christopher Columbus was a very big boy. He lived in the 1400s in Europe. He liked to find new land. Christopher Columbus was one of the first Europeans to see America, and Christopher Columbus was very interested in history. Christopher Columbus sailed on trading ships. In the 1470s, he became mutual Portuguese. He found 3 trading ships in Spain Portuguese. The ships were called the England and the Centenarians. In 1479, Christopher married Felipe Columbus. They had a son named Diego. Christopher discovered South America on his third voyage. This is why we say Christopher Columbus discovered South America. He died in 1506. Today we remember Christopher Columbus by celebrating Columbus Day on the second Monday in October. Next up is Jessica White. She wrote a report about Susan B. Anthony.
Susan B. Anthony was born February 15, 1820 in Massachusetts. She learned to read and write when she was 3 years old. Her family moved to New York when she was 6 years old. Her father Daniel was a Quaker and believed that girls and boys should be treated the same. Many girls at that time did not get to go to school. Her father paid for her to go to a Quaker boarding school in Philadelphia. When money became tight, Susan had to leave school and began teaching others. She earned $1.50 a week. Men earned quite a bit more than women did. Susan did not think this was fair. She began to give speeches about equal rights. Women were not allowed to vote in elections. Susan thought this was wrong. She died March 13, 1906 in New York. 14 years after her death, the 19th Amendment was passed, which gave women the right to vote. Susan was honored by having her picture placed on the Susan B. Anthony dollar, which is a silver coin about the size of a quarter.
Next up is Hunter Williams, and he wrote a report about Abraham Lincoln.
president was Abraham Lincoln. This was during the American Civil War. Some believe that Abraham Lincoln was the best president. President Lincoln ended slavery. We believe slavery was wrong. So on January 1st, 1863, President Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation. This important paper helped him to free the slaves. However, watching a play called Our American Cousin at Ford's Theater, a man by the name of John Wilkes who shot President Lincoln. Today, many people honor Lincoln after Lincoln Memorial. Everyone died in Cornell and died he was honest. He had the nickname Honest Man. Next up is Alex Weiss, and he wrote a report about George Bush Jr. I'm giving a report about George W. Bush. Mr. Bush grew up in Texas. He was a child of George and Barbara Bush. In 1968, he joined the Texas National Guard. Later campaigned for Congress. Then he ran for president and won the election in January 2001. George W. Bush was our 43rd president.